I never imagined that after 19 years of marriage, I'd be staring at my own life and realizing everything I thought I knew was a lie. My name is Gideon Marshall. I'm 48, and I've been married to Clara since we were both in our 20s. We built a life together, or at least I thought we did. A house in the suburbs, 2 kids, a dog, stable jobs, and a routine that most people would call stability. It wasn't always perfect, but it was ours. I believed in us, in her, and in what we had. Until the week of our 20th anniversary. Everything seemed normal at first. I bought her the gift I'd been planning for months, a custom bracelet with our initials, small but meaningful. I had reservations about how busy she'd been at work, but I brushed them off. Life had its pressures, her promotion at the firm, the kids' schedules, our parents' health, but I thought that was typical. Then came the phone notification that changed everything. It wasn't a text or a call. It was an email on our shared account. I never checked it often, but that afternoon I did because I was curious about a confirmation for the restaurant I'd booked. The subject line made my stomach drop. Project update, confidential. I opened it, thinking it was work-related. It wasn't. It was a series of messages between her and someone named Damon Keats, one of her coworkers. The words jumped off the screen like a punch to the chest. Meet me tonight. Thinking about you. Can't wait to see you. My hands shook, and I felt my chest tighten. Every memory of us, every dinner, every laugh, every quiet moment, suddenly felt contaminated. She wasn't just distant. She was elsewhere, emotionally and physically, while I had been trusting and giving everything. I didn't confront her immediately. I couldn't. I sat in our kitchen, the cold fluorescent light above me glaring like it was judging me. I replayed our last week together in my head. The subtle avoidance, the half smiles, the sudden phone calls she'd take in the bathroom. I realized that I had seen the signs, and I had chosen to ignore them because I wanted to believe in us. I wanted to believe in her. The night before our anniversary, I pretended everything was normal. I made dinner, set the table with candles, even played her favorite music softly in the background. She came home late, said she had a last-minute meeting. I smiled, nodded, tried to hide the turmoil in my chest. I said nothing. My silence felt heavier than any argument could have been. By the morning of our anniversary, I decided I had to see the truth with my own eyes. I followed her discreetly from the driveway to a small cafe downtown. I didn't need to hear words. Seeing them together, the way her hand lingered on his, the casual familiarity, the way he laughed at things I had said for years without response, was enough. My heart felt like it was being stripped from me slowly, deliberately, and yet, strangely, clarity began to emerge from the chaos. This was not a moment of passion or mistake. This was a pattern, a choice, and I finally understood that I could not continue living like this. When she returned home later that evening, I said nothing. I made myself a drink, went to the living room, and waited for her to notice the tension. I wasn't looking for a fight, and I wasn't looking for tears. I just needed her to see me, really see me, and understand that nothing would be the same. She walked in, humming lightly, like nothing had happened. I looked at her calmly. My voice didn't waver, though inside it was trembling. I said, "Clara, I know about Damon. I've seen everything." She froze. Her eyes darted to mine, searching, hesitant. Then came the words I had feared. I don't know what to say. But I already knew. Her hesitation spoke volumes. I told her, simply and without anger, "I've spent 19 years building a life with you, giving everything I had, and I have nothing left to give to someone who isn't fully present. I need to leave. I need to be somewhere I'm seen, where my presence matters." I packed a bag methodically, clothes, wallet, phone charger, toothbrush, not as an act of revenge, but as a declaration of my self-respect. I wasn't angry. I was resolute. I was done letting someone else's choices dictate my happiness. I left without saying another word. The silence as I walked out of our front door was deafening. The air felt sharp, as though it was helping me breathe for the first time in years. I got into my car, started the engine, and didn't look back. The streets were quiet at night, and for the first time in years, I felt a strange kind of peace. Not joy, not triumph, but clarity. I had chosen myself in a situation where I had been ignored, dismissed, and betrayed. The next few days were surreal. She tried reaching out, initially with vague texts, asking if I would talk, if we could work through it. I didn't reply. I maintained the calm, the distance, the clarity. She needed to understand that her actions had consequences. My life was no longer contingent on her approval or her attention. I spent that time with friends, with work, and with myself. I thought about the years we had shared, and I acknowledged that love wasn't gone entirely, but respect and trust had evaporated, leaving nothing but residue of disappointment and deceit. By the end of the week, she finally came to speak to me in person. She begged, she tried to explain, she offered apologies and promises. But I had learned the quiet truth that had been building over months, perhaps years. Actions define people more than words. Her words, after seeing what she chose, meant nothing. I didn't yell, I didn't storm out. I simply looked at her, calmly, and said, I have to move on. I've already started. She left, and I knew in that moment that I had reclaimed my life, piece by piece, brick by brick. In the weeks that followed, I found myself reflecting on what it truly means to love and to respect yourself. I realized that staying in a relationship where someone chooses to betray you repeatedly is not noble. It's destructive. I wasn't leaving because I stopped loving her. I was leaving because I finally loved myself enough to recognize that loyalty is meaningless without reciprocity. Every step I took away from that house, from that life, was a step toward freedom, toward dignity, and toward a future that I could truly shape for myself. Now, looking back, I see the quiet heroism in what I did. It wasn't dramatic. There were no arguments, no confrontation, no cinematic scene of doors slamming or rain falling. It was quiet, calm, resolute. It was about finally acting in accordance with my worth, about choosing clarity over chaos, respect over resentment, and myself over a life that had been slowly poisoned. I don't know what the next chapter holds, and I don't dwell on what she will or won't feel. I only know what I have gained: awareness, dignity, and the space to rebuild, with my values intact and my heart ready to be whole again.